Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin was the obvious choice for the mission. He was cheerful, hardworking, self-confident, intelligent, and handsome, the kind of person that people wanted to be around. He was also the perfect Soviet man. He was born on a collective farm on March 9, 1934, to a hardworking family. The third of 4 children, he would experience the horrors of World War II when his 2 older siblings were captured by the Nazis for forced labor. His family lived in a dugout for the remainder of the war. Afterward, his family moved to Gazhsk, which would later be renamed Gagarin. He attended a trade school to become a foundryman and continued his education at a technical school in Saratov. However, there his life plans changed. In his 4th year at the school, he joined an aviation club. He excelled so much in flying that it was obvious from the beginning he had great talent. For this reason, he entered the Orenburg Aviation School. There he would meet his future wife, Valya. On November 7, 1957, he graduated the flight school as a lieutenant. Later that evening, still in his uniform, he married Valya. Soon later, he submitted his application to become a cosmonaut and was approved. He showed himself to be incredibly capable, remaining calm under the most stressful of tests. With an impeccable family history and excellent training record, Yuri Gagarin was chosen on April 8, 1961, to be the first man in space. On the night of April 11, 1961, Korolyov could barely sleep. But when he checked on Yuri and Titov, Yuri's backup, he found them sound asleep. That morning at 5:30, they were awakened and given their final medical tests. They boarded a bus to the launch site. Yuri, as usual, was in good spirits. He gave a speech to the Soviet people on the launch pad. In it he said, "My whole life now appears to me as one beautiful moment." He got into the seat of the cabin of Vostok 1, still reassuring everyone else of his safety. There he would wait for an hour and a half. One minor issue would come up, a faulty hatch, but otherwise everything went according to plan. At 9:07 that morning, Vostok 1 lifted up into the air. "We're off," Gagarin said over the radio. The G-loads mounted, but Yuri kept calm. Soon they were suddenly lifted. A feeling of weightlessness overcame the cosmonaut. The first ever to see Earth from outer space, he noted its round shape, great expanses of water, and cloud cover. Radio contact remained strong until he moved into the Earth's shadow. As he passed through the night, he was the first human to see the sun rise over the Earth's curve from space. Soon it became time to re-enter the atmosphere. This is the most dangerous part of the mission. If the trajectory is too high, Vostok 1 will continue on in space, never to be retrieved. If the trajectory is too low, the ship will burn up upon re-entry. Vostok 1's retro rockets fired. Then the unthinkable happened. The instrument unit and the cabin did not separate. Yuri endures minutes of rough and dangerous flying before the cable burns and the cabin separates and plunges into the atmosphere. The surface of the vessel becomes hotter than the sun, but Yuri experienced nothing but the terrifying sight of the flames around the cabin. At 20,000 feet, Yuri Gagarin ejected safely and landed near Smolovka. His flight lasted 108 minutes and he orbited the Earth once. He had survived the first manned mission into space. The next day, Yuri Gagarin, nervous but composed, gave a speech atop Lenin's mausoleum in Moscow. A few months later, German Titov would fly 25 hours and 17 orbits in space. Then in 1964, Andriy Nikolaev and Pavel Pavlovich would fly at one, albeit in different ships, for an even longer period of time. This feat would be repeated in 1963 by Valery Vykovsky and Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman to go to space. Though the other astronauts would fly more impressive missions, Yuri Gagarin retained the designation of being the first. Korolyov continued his leadership of the space program, though now his ambitions were to reach the moon. However, tragically, in 1965, Korolyov would be diagnosed with cancer. He would die in January 1966 during a botched surgery. Luna 9 probe's soft landing would be the last great first of the Soviet space program. Without his determination, it could not survive. 1968, on March 27th, Yuri Gagarin would die in a plane crash. His loss would shock the Soviet Union. Today, Sergei Korolyov and Yuri Gagarin are still heroes in Russia. The Cosmonaut Training Center has been named after Gagarin, and statues of both men are scattered all over Russia. Vostok 1 remains one of the greatest human achievements.